What are we going to do with the house? There is a real moment in every separation where someone says it out loud for the first time. It carries everything. It carries the mortgage you signed together, the room you painted, the kitchen table where 1,000 ordinary mornings, they all happened. And now someone is asking you to put a number on all of it. If you are going through a separation and the house is a part of it, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the legal reality, the financial reality, and the question underneath all of it that most people don't actually ask until it's too late. And that's really the mistake during this process that costs you more than anything else. In case we haven't met, I'm Varsha Pasel. I am a real estate agent and I'm also a certified life transitions coach. I spend most of this channel talking about market data and strategy, but some of the most important work that I do happens in moments that have absolutely nothing to do with housing numbers and data, and this is one of them. Here is what I want you to know going in. This process is going to have to become a transaction. A home is an asset, and during this process, it has to be treated as one, but it does not have to become a battle. So let's start with the part that surprises almost everyone. Before you call a realtor, before you call a mortgage broker, before you do anything to the house, call a family lawyer. Because in Ontario, the matrimonial home has a legal protection that most people don't know about until it matters. Under the Family Law Act, both spouses have equal possession, rights to the matrimonial home. So even if only one person is on title, even if only one person owned it before the marriage, both spouses, equal rights, they both get to be there. And what shocks most people in this process is you cannot sell the matrimonial home without the written consent of both spouses. A listing agreement without both signatures is invalid. A lawyer will not complete that sale. Even if a spouse tries to proceed without the other, the court can set aside that decision. So this is not a mere technicality. I want you to understand that this is the law. So if you both agree the house needs to go, that is the cleanest path forward. What you will need is a separation agreement that addresses the home specifically. Then you begin the process together. If you don't agree, you are looking at a court application for an order to sell. And that process can take months, sometimes even longer, depending on backlog. And I'm saying this really, it's not to alarm you. It's because understanding this early protects you from assumptions or, generic advice that turn into expensive delays. Legal first, real estate second, every time. Once the legal framework is in place, the financial conversation can officially begin. In Ontario, the matrimonial home is part of the equalization calculation. This is how the province divides what you built together. Each spouse tallies what they came in with and what they have at separation. The difference is split. And what makes the matrimonial home unique, the full value of the home at the date of separation is included. Even if one spouse owned it before the marriage, every other asset only counts the growth since the day you got married. The matrimonial home counts the entire value. Meaning if you got married in 2020, the growth of your property value is not counted from 2020 for the sake of equalization. If one party owned the home from 2010, it is that entire growth that is counted towards equalization of the matrimonial home. However, other assets can only look at the growth that happened from the date of marriage. That distinction matters enormously for equalization payment that one person may owe the other. And this is exactly why an independent appraisal matters. Get an independent appraisal. You're not just looking at a realtor's pricing conversation. We're looking at a certified residential appraisal, especially in contested separations. Both sides tend to get their own appraisals done. And when either of those numbers, say there's a difference of $50,000 or $100,000, that gap is sticky because in the minds of the people or the couple, that's real money. There's a loss there. So get your independent appraisal, and the cost of one in Ontario is roughly $350 to about $600. However, on a home that's worth $800,000, $900,000, that is an obvious investment. Okay, I want to acknowledge that there is a pattern that I have watched play out more than once. And that is going to reframe what you think or how you think about timing. We will get there towards the end of this video, but first I want you to sit with this thought, okay, this for a second, because this is where the financial question and the human question are the same question, and most people do not realize it until much later in this process. Can one person keep the house? Fair question. I've seen it play out. Sometimes the real question is not whether you can, it's whether you should. To keep the home, one spouse has to qualify for the full mortgage on a single income and buy the other's equity share. In Ontario's 2026 rate environment, the mortgage stress test, the qualifying rate is sitting around 6.3 to 6.5%, even if your actual contract rate is closer to 4.4. On a single income, that stress test gap can feel significant. And at the time of purchase, maybe both of you qualified together on a $900,000 home. However, when it goes down to a single income, I'm going to encourage you to run those numbers before you commit to keeping it. Make sure you do this in partnership with a trusted mortgage advisor. And look, I know this is hard to hear when you're also processing everything else that's happening. But here is what I have watched again and again as both a realtor and a coach. Some people want to keep the house because it is genuinely right for them. There are children, the school district matters, the neighborhood is home. The math supports it. When all of that lines up, let's make it work. But some people want to keep the house because letting go feels like letting go of the person that they were in that marriage. And sometimes it's even out of spite. Those are very different reasons, and they need to be different conversations. If you are holding on because releasing it feels too final, I want to offer you something. The home you live in next can hold everything you care about. The mornings, the place where you raise your kids, the place where they come home. You get to build that again. You do not have to keep this address to keep the life that matters to you. You are choosing who you are becoming. And truth be told, your environment shapes who that person gets to be. And you have more say in that in this moment than you probably feel like. This is the reality of couples that I've walked beside through the grueling process of separation and ultimate divorce and offloading the matrimonial home. Each one is a unique case with unique, intricate feelings. Without human-to-human connection and conversation, this entire process, while it is a transaction, the matrimonial home is an asset, and you have to treat it like a transaction, it is also deeply emotional. I respect that, and there are so many emotions that are tied to this. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about strategy at least a little bit in every video. So let's talk about what the 2026 Ontario market specifically is showing us, because it matters more than what people realize, even for divorce and separation sales. Inventory is elevated. As of March 2026, almost 57,000 residential listings were out in Ontario. That's an increase of almost 36% year over year. So more competition on the sell side than we've seen in a while. And what that means practically is pricing rules this market. You have to price right from day one, because in this market, an overpriced house sits, and sitting costs you. Carrying costs on a typical Ontario home, say mortgage, property taxes, utilities, maintenance, they run anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 a month. If you're sitting for 2 months, you did not plan for $7,000 to $10,000 to come out on both sides of a separation. However, on the flip sides, buyers are out there as well. Rates have come down. Confidence is slowly returning. The homes that are priced correctly and presented well are still moving, and sometimes even in multiples. This market is for those that are informed, and it almost punishes emotional pricing. And in a divorce or separation, emotional pricing is a real risk, and I want you to be aware of that. Okay, so here it is. The mistake that costs people more than anything else during a divorce or a separation sale. Here's how I have seen it play out. Could be refusing a solid offer because you are not ready, holding out for a price that the market will never support, counter-offering aggressively because the whole situation feels wrong, and the negotiation table is the one place you feel like you have any control. I have also watched the other side of it, accepting an offer you shouldn't have because you just want it over with, or listing at a price that you knew was wrong because you did not want one more argument. And I have seen the numbers play out on both sides. I've worked with separating clients who have held strong through multiple offers over 5 or 6 months, just waiting to feel ready. And that carrying cost of just waiting to feel ready, that window for them actually resulted in $35,000, and that came out of their pockets. Okay, they eventually sold for less than the first offer on the table. $35,000 gone because no one was ready to make the house a transaction. The home is an asset. During this process, it has to be treated as one. And this is not a cold thing to say. In fact, I think it is the most caring thing I know how to say, because the faster you can reach a clean agreement and execute, the more of what you actually build together, you get to keep, both of you. So feel everything. Just don't let the feelings run the negotiation. I mean, it goes without saying, separation is a transition, and transitions are where identity shifts actually happen. The home you are selling definitely held a version of your life. Acknowledging that matters. Grieving it, if you need to, matters. And at the same time, there is a home on the other side of this. One that holds the next version of you, the one you are in the process of becoming. Your environment will shape that person, so you get to choose that environment with intention. If you are navigating this right now, the most valuable thing you can do is make sure you have 2 people in your corner. A family lawyer who knows the legal landscape of what you're about to walk into, and a realtor who understands that this is not just a transaction for you. If you want to have the conversation with someone who knows both sides of it, I'm here. Please get in touch. And if you want to understand exactly what numbers or what's happening in our market right now, that video is next on my channel. I'll see you over there.